Taylor. I'm the Minister in charge of Christchurch Kenilworth, and amongst the many things that are changing as we go through this season is I've now got to become a film personality, and that's my particular challenge at the moment. I asked Taryn to do a kind of makeup artist thing for me, but she refused. So you're just going to have to take me as I am without being prettified. And these are days when we've all got to adapt to using different media. And for all of us, please check the Christchurch website as often as you can, because that's going to be our main way of getting information to people. We're going to be uploading things. We're going to have all sorts of resources that we want to make available to people on the website. So if you would just go and check that often, I'm going to try and communicate my thoughts and information that needs to be got out 2-3 times a week, so that there's regular interaction in so far as we can through that. And the first thing that we're asking for is for people to offer themselves to help in one way or another. There are all kinds of things that we're having to gear up for and think about. And so we're going to be providing opportunities on the website for you to be able to say, well, I'll be keen to support in this way or that way, or this is what I can offer. So please be checking for that. And then also we'll be putting in links to other material. There's so much that's on the web, and all the more at the moment as all churches are gearing up for this season. So we'll provide those kind of links, because we realize that at this stage we're having to sustain our faith and feed ourselves spiritually from our homes and using these kind of resources. And we're aware that it's not just for adults but for children as well. So we will try and put as much as we can on our website. So I've been thinking about these days, which are uncertain days, and naturally we get caught up in all of those uncertainties, and we worry about our health, and I've got a scratchy throat, so is that meaning something serious? We worry about our loved ones and how they are. We're worried about our income, which may be threatened in one way or another through these economic prospects. And we have all of these things that are unsettling us on the one hand. And we need to counterbalance that with the things that are secure, the things that are unchanging. And so I started to think about that. And the first place I was drawn to was Hebrews chapter 6, which has this amazing image of our faith as an anchor. It reads like this: because God wanted to make the unchanging nature of his purpose very clear to the heirs of what was promised, he confirmed it with an oath. God did this so that by two unchangeable things, in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be greatly encouraged. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain, where our forerunner Jesus has entered on our behalf. And that speaks very powerfully of something that we can really bank, of God's unchanging purposes, his faithfulness to the promises that he has made. And the writer to the Hebrews recognizes that this is a source of encouragement to us and a source of hope. And we are therefore able to take hold of this hope like an anchor that holds us firm and secure, because it is located beyond the changing things of this world, attached in the heavenly Holy of Holies, where Jesus has gone before us and through the triumph of the cross secured our eternal destiny. And then that took my thoughts to Paul's threesome that he uses from time to time of faith, hope and love as the three things that last forever. And again, he's saying those are things that you can bank on. They're not subject to whatever may be happening in the affairs of this world. Nothing can devalue them, nothing can negate them. So faith is about God, who is unchanging and who reigns over the affairs of the earth, and whose purposes will come to pass. And so we can hold that as our faith. And then we have this divine inheritance, which is established and secure for us in the future. And that's our hope. And then lastly, the greatest of these eternal qualities is love. In the blizzard of all these troubled times and the tough things that we may be facing, regardless of what our feelings are, God's love for us, says Paul, is a constant. And so we have faith, hope, and love, which are lodged beyond this life, beyond the things that are changing, that are anchored, to use this term, in the eternal Holy of Holies. And together they form a counterweight against the uncertainties and the despair and the desolation and the disbelief and all the things that are contrary to faith, hope, and love in life. And many of them will be pressing in on us at this time. And the thing that so often blindsides us is that we think we somehow have to generate these things, this faith, hope, and love, from within ourselves, and that we have to feel them in order for them to be real. But a ship is simply anchored. It doesn't cling to its anchor cable in sort of white-knuckled anxiety. Faith, hope, and love are secured not in us, but in God. That's where they are secured. And they are the outworking of His perfect purposes fulfilled for us in Christ. And that's what makes these three anchor cables so strong. And that's what keeps us ultimately secure. So to change the metaphor a little bit, Paul encouraged the Ephesians in their struggle by saying, "Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, to stand." Ultimately, it's about standing on firm ground, which is the land equivalent to being anchored. As the reports of the advance of the coronavirus become more and more dire each day, I'm drawn to dwell on these things which are unchanging and which offer the hope of keeping us secure. And my prayer is that in this time all of us will just know that anchor for our souls that keeps us secure in the Lord.